some of the experiences like growing up in that 1-5?
Man, that 1-5 was great. I actually grew up in 1-5 and 1-6. Yeah, usually 1-6. Yeah, 1-5, 1-6. I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house because that's the family house. My parents would take me down there. And I just distinctly remember like riding my bike, being outside, playing basketball number one, riding my bike, and just being a kid. Like being a kid is important. So that's what my parents allowed me to do, is just completely be myself and be a kid.
Okay. So when you speak of parents, you had them both, or was it a single mom household? Any siblings, anything like that?
No, I had both my parents, Carl and Dina.
Okay.
Two sisters.
Hey, Miss Carl. Hey, Miss Dina.
I had two sisters, Megan, I call her sis, and Nina.
Okay.
All our birthdays in February.
Okay. Are y'all Pisces?
No, I'm the only Pisces.
Oh,
I'm the middle child.
so you probably the one between the two, huh? You the one.
Yeah,
you the stubborn one.
I'm the middle child. I'm the 28th. Sis is the 5th. Nina's the 12th.
Okay, that's what's up. So what high school you attended?
I went to Carver Tech my freshman year, and my last 3 years I went to St. Francis Academy.
Okay, what you major in Carver? What you take up?
I was taking up carpentry, but then I started getting a little wild, so my peoples pulled me out of there.
Okay. So what did wild look like?
I mean, I started really like, I'm a teenager, so I started feeling myself, smelling myself. Thinking that I can say and do anything, and my peoples was like,
Right, so you say you took up carpentry. I'm assuming that's not what you're doing now, right?
Something like that. I'm an artist.
Okay, what form of art?
Photography, painting, ceramics, woodwork, mixed media.
Okay. So, which one the first love? Because you named a couple. Photography. Okay.
I started shooting in 2010. I am 33 now.
Okay.
33 now. So yeah, I've been
12 years. That's some experience.
Yeah, it's 2022.
Imagine what those eyes are saying. So what's one of the greatest moments of being a photography? What picture was it that just made you feel like, or what was it that just made you feel like this is for me?
Yo, nobody's ever asked me that question, right? So one of my best friends, Nicole, she was a photographer also, and I was up at Frostburg State at the time, and she came over with a camera, and I was like, let me see it. So she let me see it, and I was just walking around the house taking pictures, not really knowing what I was doing. And then I took the lens cap of the camera and set it on the edge of my knee, and I took a picture of it, and I was just like, wow, a camera can do that. A camera can make something so, close and crisp and make it make sense. Right. And it was, in the picture I took was abstract. I remember how it looks and everything.
Right. So what's your favorite camera?
Right now I'm shooting with Canon. Canon is it's funny, I was taking my lenses and stuff out my bag today, and I was like, all these lenses fit. I can get lenses from different places, and they fit on a camera. So Canon's my baby.
Okay,
Canon,
so if you could get any camera you want right now, what would that camera be? I'm assuming it would still be Canon, but what style?
I can get any camera right now. I think it's called Devin Allen shoots with it. It's called the Leica. I think it's called Leica.
Oh, I heard of that.
Yeah, and Devin Allen, awesome person, great Baltimore photographer, and me and him were sitting down recently, and we were just talking, and he was showing me his camera, the ins and outs, and I was like, man, that is nice.
That's what's up.
Either the Leica or the Sony.
Okay, so what type of photography do you like to shoot? Is it portrait? Is it a multitude of things? Like, what's your avenue?
My avenue right now, honestly, is I'm shooting a lot of like parties and things like that. I realize when I do shoot, I like to shoot my family.
Okay.
I like to shoot very random things. I'm looking at things artistically and how the actual picture communicates with the viewer. I like the story behind it. I'm very abstract. I do a lot of enough of like studio photography, but street photography.
Okay.
You know, I'm just kind of all over the place.
So do you come from a line of artists or photographers? Is mom and dad got a little history of either? Is dad creative that you could potentially get that creative eye from? Is it wrapped up in there somewhere, or that was the wild side, the rebellious side, the non-carpentry side?
No, my dad's a chef and my mom's a nurse, and I can remember my dad carving out a watermelon with one of those like really sharp, how do you say it, fleusse? I don't forget, one of them really sharp knives. And he carved like a tiki head. My uncle is a bass player. My other uncle is a fine artist. He does painting.
Okay.
My mother picked up the camera when she was younger. She shot with a Pentax 35 millimeter, and that was what I took with me when I went to Frostburg. So that's a film camera.
Okay.
My sister's a poet.
Okay.
Well, she's a poet.
Okay.
And my little sister, she's like really into makeup. So.
Oh, right. I guess it's in there somewhere. I guess makeup is
you know,
also art as
and
well.
My aunt Donna, MDJ, Donna's sister, she's a phenomenal artist.
Right. So, do you have any schooling in reference to art or photography or anything? Any credentials or?
Oh yeah, I have. Okay, so let me know. I have my AA degree in juvenile justice. I have my bachelor's degree in fine arts, my BFA, and I have my master's degree in photo intermedia,
Okay.
MFA, master's of fine art. Yeah, and I went to Garrett, Frostburg, and then IUPUI out in Indiana State University, Purdue University, Parent School of Art and Design.
Okay. So, if you could give anybody any advice in regards to photography, what would it be? Like, if you could describe photography, what would that look like for you?
If I could describe photography.
Yeah, if you could put your eye or what you see or what you shoot into a perspective, like how would you define that? Like,
Ask me the question again.
so if you were to put a name or if you were to identify photography as such, or how do you define photography?
Infinity.
It's infinite.
Infinity.
Okay.
Like
It goes on forever. It's
it
just
goes
an
on-
endless
it's,
thing.
It's a thing. It's an art form that will, like, even if the camera dies, the photograph doesn't.
Sure.
Like,
I like
that
that.
photograph is just a memory. It captures a moment, situation. It captures. It never dies. So it's infinity.
So do you take your camera everywhere you go?
Almost every single where I go.
Right.
I need to get a new bag because tugging it and banging it around. But
Right.
almost everywhere I go, sometimes I go out and I forget my camera, and I could be anywhere and I'm like, yo, I should have got my camera when I was home, and then I'll go back and get it and do whatever I was doing for the rest of the day.
Right. So what about the ceramic artistry you said?
Yeah, ceramics.
So what do that consist of? I'm not
Throwing
familiar
on the
with.
wheel. I'm really good at hand building
Okay.
with ceramics, but because they're from streets. I just have a hard time sitting still.
Right. Is there a favorite thing to shoot, or a favorite place to shoot, or a certain time to shoot? Like.
I shoot a lot in the morning.
Okay.
A favorite place? Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Any and everywhere.
I can agree to that. I can agree, because sometimes it's just you just see stuff, but.
Of people who aren't really like paying attention, because that's when that rawest moments, like when you go to, hey, let me take your picture, they get ready, oh, let me make sure my hair right, but it's not always about that. It's about the story behind it. So yeah. Right. And the knife was a souffle knife.
Okay. She had to double back on that.
And I also said where I grew up at is 1.5 and the 1.6. Yeah.
So what's the 1.6?
1.6 was my grandmother's house. I was born in the 1/6 for like
What's
3
that,
years.
Cross Tracks? Matter of fact, this the one.
Nah, this might be part of the 1/6, but 1/6 is Forest Park,
Oh, okay.
West Forest Park.
Okay,
Yeah, so
West
that's where
Baltimore.
a lot of my memories come from, and of course from home.
You still have your grandma?
No, I don't have I don't have any grandparents.
Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear. She'll be proud of you and your photography work. Though.
I hope so.
Yeah, she would, man. I'm
I
pretty
hope so.
sure. But do you have a favorite photographer? Or somebody artwork that you just admire that inspires you to?
Shannon Wallace.
Shannon Wallace.
Devin Allen.
Okay.
Gordon Parks.
Ooh. They sound like brothers and sisters.
What is it? Mark I can't remember his name, and of course it's gonna come to me later. But he's from New York. He's a white guy, and he does the type of photography that, yes, one tells a story. He shoots in black and white, but he also like takes photographs of like geometric spaces and places and times that like make sense.
Okay, that's what's up. I never heard of them. But are they all in like the same genre of photography, or are they all in their own different lane with it? Or is your photography common to their photography?
My photography is common to their photography because I had to pick it up from somewhere.
Right.
And not even that I'm not copying. I'm just gathering the knowledge that was put out and then creating my own style.
Right.
Or bits and pieces from Devin or bits and pieces from Shannon. Taking bits and pieces from any and everything in these people in these spaces and time, and just like creating my own style of photography.
What was the greatest piece of advice you received in reference to photography that you applied to every photo shoot, every shot, snap? Like,
I came up with this on my own. It's always not about what you shoot, it's how you shoot it.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I can sit here and shoot, but you know that I'm shooting you. Just like I said, candid shots of random people who are not paying attention. I can take that picture. I can say, hey, come take a picture. But I never forget, I might have been in New York. There was this kid running across the street, and I was just like sitting on the curb watching the traffic go by, and I just stopped and just took a picture. And he was a kid, and he was just running across the street, and I was like, wow. Like, he didn't know I was taking this picture or anything. Those are the moments that, live with you and make you get up out of bed each day and, make you forget about your worries. Like, yo, I remember that picture. I took that jump. It's hard. That jump.
So do you have a photo that's just like a proud moment that keeps you inspired, like whenever you going through your albums and you see it and you just like, yo, I can really take some pictures?
Yeah, I took a picture of my Aunt Nan's hands. She was 92 or 93 at the time. And I was 28, 29, 30, somewhere around there. No, 20. Oh, I'm tripping. I'm geeking, sorry. I was probably like 24, 5, 23, 24. Yeah, because I was 25 when she passed. And she was this older lady. And she was all like, I don't know, because I photograph hands.
Right.
And she was just sitting there one day in her chair, like she's always is in her house, and she was just sitting there. And my gosh, I would come up there with my camera, and she would probably, I know out here, she'd be like, oh God, here she come with this camera again. But first she gave me a lot of grief about it, and then after a while it was just like nothing. But one day she was just sitting there, and she had on these pajamas. You always wear pajamas and socks. And it had like little dogs on them, and they were pink. And I just walked up to her and snapped her hands. They were like rested, kind of like this, or like this, or I can't really remember. But that photograph showed me that, like, it showed me that I can do anything.
Right.
You know, like, she was, what, 92, 93? And if she could get through it, anybody can get through it. Like, granted, like, she was a black woman. She was, like, kind of stuck in those times where she'd call you a nigga and then give you the shirt off her back.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? Almost, like, not confused, but, you know, in this, like, parallel type of, I don't know, yeah, it's parallel type of, like, confusion where, and frustration where, like, she knows who she is, but you still a nigga, but I still love you. You know, but that, I think about that photograph often because it just kind of like helps me get through. And, you know, people in my family have the photograph. I don't know how many times I've printed it out.
Right.
But my cousin Lisa, she has the photograph. She wanted it like for Christmas or her birthday or something one day, and I just gave it to her.
Right. So if you were to meet a younger Brittany, what would be some things that you would tell yourself based off of the things that you obtained throughout your journey of living?
I would tell my younger self to, as Miss Robin would say, stay the course.
Stay the course.
Yeah, she would always say that when I shot pool. Miss Robin was my one of my captains on my pool team.
Mhm.
She always said, "Brittany, stay the course," and she would give me spider fingers and things like that. And I would tell her to slow down, you know, slow down, and like, yeah, that's a good question. Listen to your parents, you know, because they've been through it and they know. I would tell the younger me that everything's gonna be okay. One bad moment doesn't define your future.
So with photography, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it create some type of therapeutic portal for you at times? Like, do you just get up and say, let me take my camera and just go? Like, or do those one bad days get compensated through photography? Is it an outlet?
1,000,000%. It's an outlet, and it's an inlet.
Okay.
It's an inlet because I can stay inside of it. I can stay behind.
Right.
INDBEHIND and it, you know what I'm saying? Never mind. But but yeah, like I can stay behind it, and when I'm behind it, it's therapeutic because I don't have to. Cause like my family knows me, you know. Wild Brittany, you know, Brittany's wild, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like Brittany's like not like crazy, you know, like destructive or anything, but you know, like I'm really outgoing and you know, like I'm fun, you know. I think that's how they see me, you know. Brittany, you so crazy, da, 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 you know, in a good way. With photography, it allows me to just like, if I don't have that energy, and if I don't want to, I have really bad anxiety, and when I have these anxious moments, like, and I'm like out and about, and I don't have my camera, I can't, you know, like I dance, you know, I have my little drink, you know what I'm saying, but it's kind of like I'm socially awkward, but when I have that camera, man, and I got
That's dope.
man, yo, when I have that camera, it's funny, I'm getting that feeling in my stomach right here, in the pit of my stomach, like, again, like, even when somebody's watching, even when nobody's watching, like, it's more for me. It's like, what am I capturing? What am I trying to communicate? If I print this, or even if I don't, if I just keep it for like keepsakes, you know what I'm saying, or make something out of it. It's more for me because it allows me to express myself visually, you know, and physically, because I have to be there. But yeah, that is my therapy. Art in photography, art therapy.
So have you shot in other cities? Have you?
Yeah, man, I shot. Yo, I've shot in many different cities and states. I've shot
You have a
and
favorite
cross
so
country.
far?
I've shot in Spain. That was my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah,
what was
ooh.
that like? What was that like?
Yo, shooting in Spain is really like, it reminds me of the artist. Oh, goodness gracious. What's his name? Well, of course, I can't remember his name once again because I stopped thinking about it. But the artist from New York, definitely drawn a blank. But he was shooting like
Let's
different.
draw the timeline with that. What brought you to Spain?
I went to Spain with an ex of mine and a few of her friends, and they found like these cheap tickets. I think it was like $333, right? Right? For like something like round trip, and that was it. That's all that they paid for, and it was just like, yo, we grabbing these. So, yo, all right. You know, I'm working at a high school at the time, living in Indiana, and you know, I just so don't worry about it. So we got the tickets, and we just went over there. We almost missed our flight because the other flight was delayed, but yeah. So we just went over there, and when I was over there, I mean, the buildings, like the stuff that I learned about in art history, I saw it in person, and that, within itself was like mind blowing. And then I was like, yo, I can capture this on my camera by myself, like what's gonna come of it, or is anything, or is nothing, like. But I thought it was important to like capture those moments. But over in Spain, like the people are more just like, oh, you know, everything is gonna be great. Like you have this beautiful historic building that you're looking at, like, you know, like everything ain't always that bad. Right. You know, everything's gonna be okay. You know.
So what about for younger photographers, right? Is there any like credentials or certificates or schooling or things they can tap into to become great, or is this something that's self-taught? Like you can't put a education on the eye.
You can put an education on the eye.
Right.
You can put a technical education on the eye. As
in a base level, a structure.
You can teach technique.
Okay.
You know, you can teach technique. You can't teach passion.
Right.
You know, you can't teach you can show like determination, you know, but you can't teach like certain things.
Right. So would you say schooling is essential? Would you say those basic
fundamentals?
fundamentals?
Schooling is essential. Schooling was, okay, I'll say for me, using my therapy words, I feel like schooling was essential for me because I wanted to know more about the history of art and photography and painting and ceramics and woodwork. Like I wanted to know the history of that, because going into undergrad, I was going in for my criminal justice degree, and then I got academically dismissed, and then I took a year or so off, then I applied and went back. Then when I went back, I made the dean's list in art, you know. So I went back because I knew that I didn't know much about art. I didn't know much about this thing that wakes me up, photography, every morning. Like I didn't know nothing about it. So I'm just like, but I'm a finished undergrad, went to my BFA, and then my ex, she was like, hey, you have to think about going to grad school? I was like, no. She was like, you should go. I was like, all right. So I went to grad school. But the reason I went was because I wanted to know the history of what I was doing, right. How things work, the technique of how they work, this different styles of art, the different mediums of art.
Right. That's a good way to put it, different mediums of art. So is it a hard thing to grasp, or is it something that you just have to have in you to be?
I don't think for
Can
me
you be taught to be a photographer?
you can be taught to be whatever you want.
Yeah, but to the level of some of your favorites.
I think it can. I think you can if you're passionate about it.
Right.
I think you can if you care. I think you can. The other day, my dad's like, are you trying? Yeah, you trying, but are you doing? I'm like, that's how that works. So I think you can if you try and you do.
So is Dad your biggest supporter?
My parents, my family,
Period.
friends, like, I have a really strong support system. I mean, it's like, I don't know where I would be without my support system.
Okay.
It's kind of like I would fall off. Not fall off, but I wouldn't be where I am today without my support system.
Okay, but thank you for coming in. Bull crap ending, but it is.